So not only does this economy stink, I can't seem to get my cigar lit. So if you think you have problems, I don't know what's going on here. Guys, welcome to the show. Good to be with you. Presented by the good people at Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org. Economic liberty. We're talking about freedom of speech. Holy cow. The story is not the increase of 0.75 of a point on the interest rate. We knew that was coming. That was written on the wind, people. Anybody who is anybody knew that was coming, that was going to be the case, and it was going to be just ugly. The story is that the Fed has decided that the new target for the federal funds rate is 4.6%. That's the whole story. This is a much bigger number than they were first talking about. This is a much bigger number than anybody was talking about. 4.6%. Think of it this way. If we are right now, we were at 2.25 to 2.5. Now we're at 3 to 3.25 at the federal funds target rate. At 2.25 to 2.5, we're talking about interest rates on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 6%. So where are we when we get to 4.6%? These are the numbers. And that's why people reacted in the market by saying, oh, holy hell, we got to get out of here. And you're feeling it everywhere. You're feeling it in crypto, all sorts of things. Now, full disclosure, I'm a believer in crypto. I like the idea of decentralized currency. And I don't own enough crypto to count, but I do own some things. Today was not a good day, just so we're all perfectly clear. But what's happening is that what people are learning is that this will get worse. You know, I've been using the expression, the beatings will continue until morale improves. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Not only will the interest rate continue to go up 0.75 of a point, month after month after month, till they get to this 4.6% number, they're going to stay there. They're going to hold. Jerome Powell is so freaked out by the lessons of Paul Volcker, former Fed chair, so absolutely freaked out by making the mistakes that Volcker made. He won't do it. He won't get close to it. So what do you have? You will have high interest rates that remain and stay there. I don't know, weeks, months. I mean, we're talking about getting back to a 2% inflation in 2024. That's what we're talking about. And this, by the way, is where Bank of England was discussing. You saw Sweden engage some of these conversations. This is where it's at. Now, the fact that Joe Biden won't admit to it, the fact that Joe Biden won't admit that this economy is a failure and his hand is all over it, right? We're not talking about the Adam Smith hand. We're talking about the heavy-handed, nonsensical, know-nothing hand of President Biden and this administration. They are absolutely responsible for so incredibly much of this. They can't deny it. They can't escape it. Now, it's one thing if they don't want to take responsibility for it. It's another thing altogether to pretend that it's not happening. Of course, it's happening. This was the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell.
The U.S. economy has slowed from the historically high growth rates of 2021, which reflected the reopening of the economy following the pandemic recession. Recent indicators point to modest growth of spending and production. Growth in consumer spending has slowed from last year's rapid pace, in part reflecting lower real disposable income and tighter financial conditions. Activity in the housing sector has weakened significantly, in large part reflecting higher mortgage rates. Higher interest rates and slower output growth also appear to be weighing on business fixed investment, while weaker economic growth abroad is restraining exports. As shown in our summary of economic projections, since June, FOMC participants have marked down their projections for economic activity, with the median projection for real GDP growth standing at just 0.2% this year and 1.2% next year, well below the median estimate of the longer-run normal growth rate.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad stuff. But you saw something there about the bonds and treasury bonds and the yield. And what you have is an inverted yield curve, which is always a sign of recession. You are paying out more on an interest rate, 4% on a 2-year, than you're paying on a 10-year. So your bonds safe. What's safer than a U.S. bond? But a 2-year bond is paying out more interest than a 10-year bond. What that's saying, according to economist Dr. Matt Will at the University of Indianapolis, that is saying that there is no long-term investment in the U.S. that may very well be worthwhile. Now, economists and people who have even a better understanding of the economy than I do could massage that a little bit, disagree with it a little bit. But when you have the 2-year higher than the 10-year, you're saying don't invest long-term, invest short-term. This is the Biden economy, and it cannot be denied. The fact that he won't admit to it is the biggest problem that we have, because how in the world do you expect to solve a problem or deal with the reality of a problem if you won't admit that there's a problem to begin with? We've all heard that expression. The first step in solving a problem is admitting that you have a problem. Biden won't admit it. This administration won't admit it. No. The squad, my gosh, this is a great time to just pile on capitalism.
Take a look at it. And it's not just Japan and South Korea, but there are quite a few countries that are really struggling because young people, because under the burdens of capitalism and living under a society that's increasingly concentrating wealth among the rich, we're not having kids, or we're not having kids at the same rate. And we actually need immigrant populations to help balance things out. We can't continue to fund Social Security, Medicare, all of this stuff without immigrants. And it's always been that way. Don't act like this is some new trend or anything like that.
Your problem, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, is that you believe the increase of a population only matters so you can have your social programs. And that's no way to run a country. And when you blame capitalism, you only prove that getting a degree in economics is worthless. Capitalism is not your problem. Capitalism is the solution. So we understand each other, Representative Ocasio-Cortez. You don't have a plan. Everything that you believe when it comes to economics leads to destruction, leads to despair, and leads to people not being able to lead the life that they want to lead. Capitalism has problems. I guess you can say that. Why would I ever stop you from saying that? But capitalism is the best system that we have, allowing people to live their lives to the moment of their happiness, to a level of their joy without acceptance. You don't have to get approval from anybody. No other system allows you anything like that. Capitalism sets people free. You don't. We should say that again. Capitalism allows people to choose their course. You do not. You think the issue with having children is because of capitalism? Not at all. Your argument is, well, if more people paid for other people, then more people would have children, and then they could be people who take from the system. And, well, how does that work? You never heard of Margaret Thatcher? The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. That wasn't a throwaway line. That is a fact. It was President Trump who said about Venezuela. Venezuela's problem is not that socialism was implemented improperly. It's that it was implemented faithfully. He said that at the United Nations and got this weird kind of smattering of applause before people realized, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just said that, because it was so incredibly true. Just a reminder that you can't let Representative Ocasio-Cortez anywhere near power. She doesn't understand what she's saying. What she believes for the nation, for you, me, and we, is absolute destruction, absolute pain, anguish, and not being able to choose your own course. The pain is exactly what we're feeling right now in this economy. We are feeling tremendous pain. And based on all of the data, and based on where the Fed is going, that pain is going to be with us through 2024. So now we get to, well, what in the world is now going to happen in this midterm? Anecdotally, I've heard a story. Man, what is wrong with my cigar? This is super annoying. What I've heard anecdotally in my beloved Indianapolis is that there are people who think abortion is the number one subject. Now, I cannot help those people who think that abortion is a top-line subject. The overturning of Roe v. Wade, the right decision, is Roe v. Wade was usurpation of states' rights. And I'm a believer in the Constitution. I'm a believer in federalism. And I believe that states do have rights. And I don't want to take those rights away from the states. But it's as if on the Republican side, they didn't understand that they would then have to figure out what they were going to do in their states. They put so much energy on overturning Roe v. Wade that everyone's asked themselves what came next. A huge mistake from them. But abortion and where the regulations are and what restrictions might be, that is not a mover compared to whether or not society can thrive and grow and build. whether or not people have jobs. You know what? There are job openings in the United States, massive job openings in the United States, but there isn't so much job growth. We've seen Fortune 500s and others put an end to hiring freezes, rescind offers. They're trying to do more with less. Part of the reason you're seeing companies want to bring people back to the office is because they're not getting the productivity. You could talk about people enjoying working from home during COVID, but the productivity wasn't there. I am the exception because I work from home doing radio, and the productivity is simple. Did I show up on the air that day or not? And my ratings prove that the productivity is there, baby. It's really there. So thank you for that. We are in this ugly spot in the economy with, yes, there are jobs. Yes, there aren't people there to fill them. And you can argue we need to be a country that is all about legal immigration, because we should be about legal immigration, not illegal immigration. We should never be about illegal immigration. We should never be okay with illegal immigration. We should say no to illegal immigration, and we should be bringing it down to zero on the illegal immigration side. That doesn't help us. Legal immigration totally helps us. And you can argue legal immigration would help with some worker shortages, but not everywhere. And it doesn't help with inflation because it doesn't solve supply chain. And it doesn't solve government spending, something that Representative Ocasio-Cortez wants more of and not less. And if you have more spending, all you're going to do is continue to create more higher interest rates, because more spending means more inflation, putting more cash in the system. Inflation is when you have too much cash and not enough stuff. You have all this cash, but there aren't enough cigars to buy. So the price of cigars does what? Goes up. This is just the basics, people. This is basic economics that, of course, Representative Ocasio-Cortez should know and pretends that she doesn't because her ideology to her is more valuable than her humanity, and the Biden administration won't admit to at all. Unbelievable stuff to watch and to witness. This is from Lee. Any system that depends on the right people being in charge is fundamentally flawed because people are mortal. Now, this, by the way, is the truth. The people who believe in big government, government largesse, they don't believe in we the people, but they believe in themselves. So the people aren't good enough, but there's a right group of people, select group of people with the secret knowledge, as David Mamet wrote about it, that can be trusted. I don't trust Representative Ocasio-Cortez. I absolutely don't trust Representative Ocasio-Cortez. And nor do I believe she has any secret knowledge that can actually take care of us. Dave, yes, it is good news. The pandemic is over. It's great news, Dave. It's fantastic news, except, of course, they're walking that back as in every way they can. Walking that back because they know that Biden stepped in it. And, well, we've all known that the pandemic is over in terms of changing our lives for over a year. We're wondering where the hell everybody has been to join us in this. Now, I am going to get the cigar to light. I swear to you, I'm going to get the cigar to light, and then I'm going to enjoy it while I do more work. I'm glad that you guys were here, and my thanks to the good people at Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org. Love what they do, economic liberty, freedom of speech, and sponsors of this show. Gotta love that. Let's see if I got it. That's just disappointing. Guys, what else could go wrong in the Biden economy? I will catch you tomorrow. Take care.